Per usual, the 49ers made a couple of roster moves, elevations from the practice squad to be available to play in tomorrow's game against the Houston Texans. The two players they brought up from the practice squad are Travis Gibson, who has appeared in 3 games this season. He was on the 53-man earlier in the week. 49ers released him, put him immediately on their practice squad, and then they promoted Robert Beal Jr. to the 53-man. They also called up from the practice squad, elevated a standard elevation. Nick thing. The 49ers did not elevate Spencer Burford off of injured reserve, so therefore that means he is officially out and won't be available to play in this game. He remains on injured reserve. So what do those roster moves mean for the 49ers? Well, because of the injuries at defensive end, the 49ers defensive line rotation will take shape without Yetur Matos, without Bryce Huff, and of course, Nick Bosa is on injured reserve. So just to refresh your memory of who the 49ers have to be available to play in this game on the defensive line: Michael Williams, Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott, and Sam Okawanu. Those will probably be the starters. Also, obviously, Alfred Collins, Kalia Davis, CJ West, Travis Gibson, and Robert Beal. So that's what the defensive line rotation looked like in this game. Zakelj moving up from the practice squad. He will be the backup center and could also be a backup reserve on the offensive line. We're looking to move him into some spot duty or rotate in a little bit with Connor Colby. I don't know that that'll be the case on Sunday because Zakelj got out there, and then when he got out there in place of Colby, that's when Brendel was injured. And so I think the 49ers felt like, okay, we need to keep Zakelj off the field and in a backup role because he's the backup center as well for this game. So Hennessy will start in place of Brendel, and Zakelj will be the backup. I guess that means probably Drew Moss will be available for this game. The starters will clearly be Trent Williams, Connor Colby, Matt Hennessy, Dominic Puni, and Colton McKivitz. And then the 3 backups for this game would be Austin Pleasance, Drew Moss, and Nick Zakelj. So one thing, last week I told you that I didn't think that Jordan Watkins would be up for that game because the 49ers elevated Malik Turner from the practice squad to play special teams. The 49ers have game days, and those 5 wide receivers right now, with Ricky Pearsall being out, the 5 wide receivers that they have on their 53-man roster are Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne, DeMarcus Robinson. Sky Moore is the return specialist. And last week, bringing up Turner meant that no Jordan Watkins. Well, guess what? The 49ers did not bring up Malik Turner on this day. I thought that he would probably be somebody who would be a candidate to be bumped up to the 53-man roster because he's no longer eligible for a standard elevation from the practice squad. He's already played in 3 games this year. So in order for him to get on the field and play for the 49ers again this season, he would have to be on the 53-man roster. So that now definitely opens the door for Jordan Watkins to make his NFL debut. 4th-round draft pick out of Ole Miss. Looked really good in the offseason program. Got off to a good start when training camp opened for the 49ers and had a really good game, at least a good play early in that first preseason game against the Denver Broncos. Against the Denver Broncos' number 1 defense, I might add, catching a 50-yard. However, he sustained a high ankle sprain in that game, and he was out for about 4 weeks. When he returned, he sustained a calf injury, so he missed a good portion early part of the regular season. They did not place him on injured reserve, and he's only been back in practice now for a couple of weeks, I think 3 weeks. And I thought that there was a decent chance that he might not get on the field as a rookie because of that numbers game. But now, Pearsall is out. 49ers have the receivers that I mentioned. And I guess when Pearsall comes back, 49ers will have a decision to make. Do they see enough from Jordan Watkins that he could potentially be a third receiver? I think that's asking a whole lot for a rookie. Another thing to keep an eye on, Kyle Shanahan said that it is now week to week where they could open the practice window for Brandon Aiyuk. He stopped short of making any promises, but he said it is possible that the 49ers could open up that practice window for Aiyuk when they get back from Houston. That would be on the Wednesday. So maybe we'll have a good indication on Monday if the 49ers indeed plan to do that. So, it's been a year now since Brandon Aiyuk sustained that ACL tear, MCL tear, some cartilage damage. He's working his way back. A lot of just kind of mystery about where Brandon Aiyuk is. We've seen him, saw him throughout training camp out there in the field with his teammates, kind of mimicking the routes and the warm-up drills they do. There have been a couple times recently on his KNBR show on Thursday mornings where John Lynch said that he'll look out there onto the practice field and see Brandon Aiyuk going through his physical therapy, his rehab. And so, all indications are he's making progress, but it's been very difficult to pin anybody down on exactly how he's coming along. The most boarded their flight to Houston. What he said then was that it is week to week now. So this is the 8th game of the season. By rule, because he started the season on PUP, he had to miss 4 games. And so we've just kind of kept our eyes open and ears open to see when exactly he might be back. I think that practice window, but how this works is once the 49ers open the practice window, and if they do it this week, it would more than likely be on the Wednesday. Once they open the practice window, it's a 21-day window where at any point during those 21 days, they can activate him to the 53-man roster, which means they'd have to release a player in order to make room for him, or they could put another player on injured reserve to open that roster spot up for Brandon Aiyuk. At least a couple of weeks just to make sure that he's healthy, he's running routes, he's close to football playing shape. He'd probably do a lot of stuff on the scout team, running the plays of the opposition against the 49ers first team defense. And then when and if he's ready to go, they can activate him to the 53-man roster. Now, the other options are at the end of those 21 days, if they just don't think he's ready, nor do they believe he will be ready, they could keep him on PUP for the season. Kind of a borderline player who's coming off of PUP at the end of 21 days. The team could decide to release him or waive him. And then the other thing would be that if he's still not ready to play, they could activate him to the 53-man and then just keep him deactive until that time comes when he is ready to play. So that's something to keep an eye on. And if Brandon Aiyuk does return to form and he proves to the 49ers he's ready to play football, now the 49ers would have seven wide receivers. So they would they keep 7 wide receivers? Right now, those 7 wide receivers are Pearsall, Jennings, Bourne, Robinson, Watkins, Sky Moore, and then Aiyuk. Down the line, haven't really heard any update on Jacob Cowling, but he could be back soon as well, as he had the injury early in the season, or before the start of the season. And the 49ers have to make a decision there whether they want to stick with him or I should say, go back to him or stick with Sky Moore. Sky Moore, I think a lot of the decision making has been off with him as far as where he fair catches the ball or fields punts. I know the rule is, I don't know exactly what Brant Boyer's rules are as far as when to field punts, but generally speaking, a punt returner is supposed to kind of dig his heels into the 8-yard line, and anything that goes over his head, he lets go. If or fair catches it. So Cowing did an okay job last season as a rookie. Moore is doing, other than maybe some of that decision making. I mean, this guy that I don't think he's really returned punts since his rookie season in the NFL. Sky Moore has. So just maybe, kind of knocking the rust off is one way to look at it. His average of 8.8 yards per punt return is reasonably good. Again, I think the NFL or most special teams coaches I've talked to through the years believes that if a punt returner can have an 8-yard average, that's what they aim for. And anything above that is good. Anything below that, you want with again, looks like Jordan Watkins could very well make his NFL debut. The reason that I didn't think that he would play as a rookie was because that fourth wide receiver, if you take the return specialist out of it, has to play a lot of special teams. And I just didn't know that if Jordan Watkins would be somebody they'd want to put out there on special teams right away, especially coming off of a couple injuries. And I wouldn't expect the 49ers to put Juwan Jennings out there on special teams or Demarcus Robinson, kind of waiting to see what the future holds for him as far as coming back from that injury, the posterior cruciate ligament injury. This will be the fourth game that he's missed, fourth game along with Brock Purdy. So just to recap, the players that the 49ers have already ruled out for this game, Spencer Burford being added to the list on Saturday, but the players who will not play in this game on Sunday against the Houston Texans, Brock Purdy. That means Mac Jones gets his 6th start of the season. Adrian Martinez, for the 6th time, is the backup quarterback. Ricky Pearsall won't play. Jake Brendel won't play. That means Matt Hennessy starts with Nick Zakelj as the backup. And then the defensive ends won't play. Bryce Huff, Yetur Gross-Matos, and look for the 49ers maybe to do a little bit more blitzing in this game as they have to turn up the heat on C.J. Stroud. He hasn't been good under pressure. The pass protection of the Houston Texans hasn't been good, but do the 49ers have the horses to get there with a 4-man pass rush? If that is not successful, then Robert Saleh is going to have to find some new and creative ways to get to the quarterback, whether that's blitzing D. Winters or Tatum Bethune or corner blitzes or the nickel blitz with Upton Stout. So that's where things are, 49ers and the Houston Texans on Sunday. And thanks so much for watching this video. And before I go, if you haven't already, check out 49ers Talk interview with Tatum Bethune's dad, Greg Bethune. You can also see that on my YouTube channel here, but also a game plan interview with Kyle Shanahan where we start getting into some of the nuts and bolts of the communications and things that communication behind the scenes with Robert Saleh and Christian McCaffrey and others, and also what he looks for when he starts game planning to face an opponent. So again, thanks for watching this video, and that is it for now.